Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday, 5 o'clock. Pretty close. We're a little bit late, but we were chatting. Welcome to our Home Buyer Seminar. I'm Bill Gross from Brooklyn, Los Angeles, California, with my good friend and colleague.
Patricia Castillo.
That's Patricia Castillo in English, by the way. Her accent's so good. I love it. And our good friend.
Shannon the lender. How's it going, guys?
And that's his first name Shannon, middle name The, last name Lender.
Yes, my ID will be changed shortly, and that will be my legal name.
I love it. I love it. And we get together and look, we gotta have some fun. This is real estate. On one hand, it's a tough business.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you better have some fun and you better work with people you like. And I sure like Patricia Castillo, one of my favorites, and we've come to like of late Shannon the lender. So we're here to help you if you have questions on how to buy your next house or your first house. It's a wild time in the market. We're all full-time professionals. Patricia, what is going on in the market right now?
Yeah, it's competitive still. I mean, I just wrote an offer this weekend on a property in Long Beach, and it's a probate, so right up your alley, Bill. And this property had over 30 offers. So
Wow.
talk about competitive, right? And so we're supposed to hear back today. They out of the 30, they were countering 5 offers, and we were one of the 5. So I'm glad that we at least made the cut. But just to give you an idea, some areas are steaming hot right now. Long Beach is one of them. And that's just to give you a pulse on the market for Long Beach. It's a very hot market right now.
Well, I think one thing I want to say, Long Beach is the underdog, the low key best value, I think, in all of Southern California. Like you're close to the beach, but you don't have to pay beach prices. There's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
close
of
to the city.
services.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is underrated. Send me the property address. I'm curious about your probate, but the point you point out is I do a podcast every week called Real Estate Ripoff Podcast. So much of the news is down and negative, but there are people who have to sell the property. Some best. They got to
Right.
sell. They're going to do what it takes to sell the property. And for those properties, it is and can be competitive.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Shannon the lender, give us a quick update. What's happening in the mortgage market, and what do you see overall in the marketplace?
Yeah. So I mean, as you know, the Feds met. I believe it was last week, and they pretty much said that there's planning to be. They kept the rate steady right now, but they plan to have at least um, one rate cut this year, which is good. And even that news alone, I know you're pulling up that, but I actually have also to my lending quote. I think right now at a 720 FICO, going FHA, putting down 3.5% down, we can get you at 5.49 right now, and then at conventional, if you're doing conventional 5% down, we're at 6.375. So we're already seeing these rates dip a little bit just from that news alone. So that might contribute to the high competition. I am seeing a lot more people trying to get back into the market right now, and they're starting to again be a little bit more optimism on the buying side. So again, like we tell you guys got to get in now, because if more people start hearing this news, especially once that first rate cut, it's kind of like someone who's been in the desert for so long, get that little drop of water, that one little drop, it's going to mean a lot to them. So as soon as you see that first rate cut, I think things are going to go crazy, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that some properties or markets need much. I think the higher price market probably is struggling a bit. I don't mean higher price. I mean higher than the entry level, right? I suppose, Patricia, your property is an entry level price property.
Mhm.
Yeah, the one that I made an offer on. Yeah, it's
hmm
500.
Anything entry level is just red hot.
500,000.
Anything
Mm-hmm.
entry level is red hot. The over entry level is not as hot. That rate cut makes a big deal to those people.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the other thing to keep an eye on is, Shannon, you just mentioned a buyer can get the FHA loan, right? For how much was it?
5.49, so 5.5, let's just
about
say.
5.5%.
Yeah.
Oof.
So
5 point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
5
at a 720 FICO. Yeah.
at 720 FICO.
That's
So
not perfect. 720's got some
Yeah,
it's
some
got
good.
some
some
blemishes. We're
got
not at
some dings on
760
it.
yet.
It's above fair, right? It's good.
Yeah.
But a lot of first time buyers, they might even be looking at condos, right? Getting into a condominium because they're still lower price than a single family residence. But just keep in mind that not all condominium complexes are FHA approved. So I have a buyer right now that, is sending me properties to look at, and they're not FHA approved. So if you are an FHA buyer, it's a great program to get into a home, but you want to make sure that the property is compliant, and is FHA approved.
Yeah. And I think to that point, Patricia, what Patricia said, and one tip for buyers out there, even if you're really gung ho on FHA, just ask your lender, what do I qualify for conventional? Just so that you have that in the back of your head and just in your back pocket, and just in case you do find a condo that you really like. I just funded on a condo in Pasadena where the buyer or the borrower is living in the condo that she's renting. So she literally went from a renter to a owner of that exact unit. So there was no key day since she's already living there. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people do condos, mobile homes. They're even talking about tiny homes that can be, qualified for conventional and FHA. So yeah, all these alternate routes outside of single family, I'm definitely seeing those come up a lot, a lot.
So, first off, if you're watching this live, feel free to put your comments in. We'll catch you live. If you're watching a replay, put your questions or comments in, and we'll reply to them after the fact. We want to make it as participative as we can. Towards that, Shannon, when you mentioned her first name, you roll your R's. Are you doing that just to embarrass me, or are you a native? Are you a native?
That is
Spanish
the correct
speaker?
way to say it. That
I
is the
got that,
correct
but
way.
I'm saying, are you a native Spanish speaker, or you learn Spanish and you also learn how to roll your R's?
That's a good question. Actually, Spanish was my first language. My
Okay, there you
babysitter
go.
was from Cuba and didn't know
Okay,
English, so I learned
okay,
it. I
okay.
learned English in school.
Okay, because I don't wait because I look bad if you don't. That's not the case because
Oh yeah,
I think my Spanish is pretty good. My accent's pretty good. I just can't roll the R. And then I
yeah,
hear Patricia do it, and she says it so perfectly. And I hear you
yeah.
do it. I'm like, what the heck?
No,
But
and then my Spanish is Puerto Rican Spanish, so there's double, triple the R's, and the grammar is just all off. So
okay.
And twice as fast.
yeah, exactly, especially when they're mad.
So one of my best friends when I was learning Spanish was Cuban. So I learned a lot of extra words that are
Yep,
not in the normal Spanish dictionary.
that's
And I'm not
exactly
going to
right.
say any of those words, but I will say my teacher in high school did appreciate those extra words. Just if you're Cuban, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
so what's the market look like in terms of how many people looking for houses now that you're working with versus say 90 days ago? Same, growing? Are we in the summer mode now? Are we a little lacking? Where do you a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being, let's say 5 being exactly last year, 0 being dead, 10 being red hot. Where are we at in the market in your space,
I would say
Patricia?
I'm in like an 8. I mean, I'm
Yeah, I would say
primarily listing properties, but I do have some buyers that have been reaching out to me and, are getting pre-qualified, but they're also not jumping into a property very quickly, like the way, we were seeing the activity during the pandemic, right? Where people had to go home and not even go home, write the offer in the car because everybody was sending in offers on the spot. So they are taking their time to look at properties and being a little bit more, delayed in making a decision, making a final decision on what properties they would like to write an offer on. So I have noticed that as well. It's not something that the buyer is reacting to immediately. Even after seeing a few properties, they're still taking a few days to think about it.
Yeah, I think I see it. And Shannon, what do you see?
I mean, honestly, I'm seeing the same. I was going to say the same exact number, and what I'm seeing on my side is people are looking at the monthly payment over and over again, and I'm having to email people different scenarios, which is totally fine. But before, when it was, hey, this is what you're approved for, this is the numbers, that's it. Now they're saying, oh, what if I put down more? or what if I get a credit from the seller, or what if I got my father or mother or cousin involved in the loan? How would that change things? So, like Patricia said, people, I'm actually seeing, and I actually have another client that decided they were going to hold off in February. The agent called me and said they changed their mind. They want to get back in the market right now. So now they're coming back, and then we're looking at 3, 4, 5 different scenarios. Hey, what if I put 5% down, 10% down? What if we got a rate buy down? What if we did this? What if I did this? So buyers are more educated, which is great, and they want to know what their options are. Like Patricia said, they're not just jumping in and pulling the trigger right away. I'm having to have a lot more Zoom calls with people in terms of what are your options, what's your monthly payment, and what are some of the other alternatives to get all these interest rates and monthly payments and closing costs down. And so
Yeah, I would say in all regards in this business right now, it's taking me more conversations.
mhm, that's
Like,
exactly right.
when you deal with sophisticated investors, it's quick in, out, you're done. When you deal with less sophisticated, you spend a little more time on it. And I think that's one of the changes as a professional I'm trying to turn my attention to. I took an FHA offer on a listing. It's been a long time since I did one. I'm embarrassed to admit that I can't even remember the last one I did. I kept saying I hadn't done one in a while, and then we accepted this one. I hadn't done one in a while. I forgot. I forgot a lot of the fundamentals, and it's not simple. It's not, it's a whole thing you better be ready for on one hand. On the other hand, it sold the house, and I think, made the buyer happy, and I think my seller was going to work out for them. We're really close to closing. We're not quite there yet. And some of the FHA stuff is causing a delay. But that was what got them in too. So it kind of, good news, bad news. The FHA buyer paid a little bit more. Bad news is we got to fix some more stuff, and it slows things down. But I think as an agent, we'd be aware of that and be willing to do the extra work to accommodate maybe buyers who now have the chance they didn't have otherwise. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you have any buyers, to use your story, Shannon, who said they were going to wait, who benefited from waiting, other than emotionally and getting their act together? Did they get a better deal on a house after they waited? Like all those buyers who say, I'm going to wait for rates to go down or prices to go down, do you have any buyer who that worked out for?
No. I think I mean, maybe the rate would have went down slightly, but the competition now is heating up. So what you're saving in that rate probably got eaten up with the sales price.
100%.
So, again, like that. And I know everyone's saying it, but it's true. You kind of you marry the house and date that rate, because in 6 months you're going to be ready to refi. And I'm already getting people calling me saying, hey, is it time yet? Can I refi? Can I refi? Can I refi? So, which is, hey, that's great. You got into your house and now you have that option to refi or cash out, whatever you want to do. So, which I'm seeing that a lot now too. On the side note, for those who are looking to buy a house, now I'm getting a lot of people that want to cash out some equity, and either consolidate their debt, do some improvements. So, the benefit of having a property is that's your little piggy bank right there. And,
Yeah.
you can use it however way you see fit. I always suggest, by the way, try not to touch your equity as much as you can, even though I know that some people are in those situations regardless, but that is a benefit of having a property is, people having equity when, in reality, if they didn't buy a house, they wouldn't have that, and so that's what I'm seeing. And I'm also seeing a lot of people, pull out from their 401ks. And a lot of people are asking me, can I use my 401k as the down payment? The answer is yes. You could use it. And some people have a repayment plan where they pull out the 401k and there's a payment plan that they're on in order to replenish that. So now you get a house and you get to replenish your 401k at the same time, or, some people are then, just putting that 401k money into their equity. So it's not gone necessarily. It's just now put into your house. So I'm seeing I would say out of the 10 loans, I'm getting at least 3 or 4 that are pulling out from their 401ks and putting that as a down payment. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Into a down payment for an investment property, or they're taking a distribution and buying a house with it?
buying a house. They're buying a house with it. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you can do it also on investment property as well. You can do crypto, you can do 401k, stocks, anything that you have, you can put that into, again, a property. And
Mm.
it's just, you got to obviously talk to your CPA about what the penalties are. But a lot of people, they still said they talked to their CPA and it made sense. They said, hey, look, we want to put this money into here and get off to the races. So it's
Yeah.
definitely possible. Definitely possible.
I closed on a buyer about 2 months ago in Camarillo, and she took out 20% from, she's a nurse, and she took out 20% from her retirement, which was a little over 100,000, and
Mhm.
used that for a down payment.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of buyers are saying, I wouldn't have saved that money, anyway, so maybe here's a tip for first time home buyers. If you have a problem, or not a problem, I would say, if you're challenged saving money every month, maybe a good thing to do is max out your 401k and just make sure that that's automatically deducted from your paycheck every month. And then when you look up, you might have 40, 50, 60,000 there. And then
Mhm.
that's your down payment right there. So maybe that could be another option is, hey, let me max it out and let that be my savings account. And let me pull that out as well. So
Whatever you got to do to save money. I just literally today talked to my wealth manager, pull some money out for investment, and he asked me, do I want the money from a retirement account or from a regular one? And I said, why would I take it out from retirement if I don't need it? I have extra cash here. Why not use that? And I really hadn't thought about it. I imagine for an investment property, I mean, I don't know what the advantage would be. I guess you'd always rather save money and use money you already pay taxes on, but to know
I,
what's available is a good option.
I think it's just a numbers game. Look at what's your return on your 401k, and will that return, is it going to be greater on an investment property or just, in your 401k? Like which one's going to perform better? And then 9 times out of 10, it might be the 401k, or if you look at your numbers and you're getting a great cap rate, it might be the investment property.
Oh, my
Right.
investment property is going to do much better in this case.
There you go. There you go. I
In
think
fact, I can make a case. This is the challenge I have. I should liquidate everything and put into real estate because I do so much better in real estate investments than I do on stocks and bonds. And what's funny is I used to have my money self-managed, Vanguard. I moved it into a wealth management company because my son-in-law went to work there as the tax head. He left the firm, and so I have no reason to be there. But they did a really good job. And last year, they outperformed the market and outperformed what I was doing on my own. And so I went to pull the money out. I said, finally, I'm making some money in the stock market because normally it just, I just feel like it's just throwing money away. One of the benefits, I don't know if you know, Shannon, at EXP, and particularly hope you participate, is instead of paying a royalty fee to a company, we have the choice to pay a royalty fee to ourselves. We can take 5% of our gross commission and buy stock with it at a discount. And so
Oh,
I've
wow.
done that. And over time, it started off with like a small amount of money. One day I checked my balance after a few years and I had like $8,000 in it. And
Wow.
like, that's not life changing, but that's real money. Like, I'm not going to lose it. Right. Now it's a lot more than that. Now it's like, it's not a year's income, but it's getting there. Like, it's real money. So
Right.
I think the one thing I was say to everybody is you've got to live on less money than you make. Put the difference away and to work for you, whether it be your house or your real estate investments. It should be working for you. Let me ask you this question. If we have a few minutes still, on my podcast this week, I talked about the topic: should you buy your first house, or should your first property be investment? And it was just interesting that there are people talking about how hard it is to buy a house, but the reality is, first-time homebuyer homes today are much bigger than they used to be. When I started in 1985 in real estate, starter homes are always 2-bedroom, maybe, and small, and the small little lot, the little rent homes in the neighborhood. Now, the smallest homes you find typically are 3-bedroom, most commonly. As I'd say there aren't flips and such, but generally, or more commonly. And so people have upped their standards, right? The appliances are nicer than they used to be. The stuff people expect, I think, have gone up. And so I heard this financial advisor that I like a lot, Grant Cardone, say, if you can't afford your house, on your monthly income while still saving, don't buy a house first. Live cheaper in a rental, but take a chunk of money and buy investment property until you have enough to buy a house that makes sense. What are your thoughts on that? I know, Patricia, I think you're kind of opposite that, but I thought it was a very interesting take on the key factor either way is you got to live on less money than you make.
Right. Yeah. And I think one of the really good opportunities is house hacking, getting a duplex, maybe getting a triplex, because as we were just talking about with FHA loans, 1 to 4 units is still residential. So you can still get an FHA loan for that. And you will be saving money because you're going to be using the rents from the other tenants to offset that payment for the mortgage. So I think if I were to have, I've already bought and sold several of my own homes, but if I were to start over again and do that from the beginning, I would probably look into a duplex or a triplex or even a fourplex. And then you get the feel of, you start learning how to manage your property and the budget and what it is to be a landlord on site because you're going to be living at the property. So you're going to have full knowledge of all the issues that are coming up. You're going to have more equity in your property as you stay living in it longer. And as the time goes by, you're increasing the rents. So you're increasing your cash flow as well and being able to save that money. And at the same time, reinvesting into the property wherever it needs to be, whether it's painting it, to, keeping it, in really good condition and also aesthetically. So it's pleasing to the eye, keeping up the value, making sure you have a gardener or whoever it is that's helping you maintain the property. And this way your tenants are happy as well. You have good tenants that are living there and taking care of the property. All that contributes to the value and the equity that you have in the property.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, my wife and I were walking by a 3 or 4plex this weekend and kind of thought about, well, it would be nice if we started with something like that. You talk about house hacking, but really a unit where you live in one and rent the others there. And again, it's smaller than a house, but you control a little bit more and you're there to watch the tenants too.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, and going back to your case, Bill Gross, I know Grant Cardone says, you know what I mean? Like a house isn't an asset 9 times out of 10 because obviously you're paying mortgage. So I did have a friend who's still living with his parents, but he bought his first property in Beaumont. He's like, hey, I'm gonna buy a house in Beaumont. I think he bought a triplex for $350 in Beaumont and is making, he said, like $700-800 profit on that property. And so yeah, I mean, if let's just say you don't have the funds, the 5, 6, 7, 800,000 for a first time home, for a first time home buyer, maybe like you said, getting something a little bit more inland, but getting a rental property is a smarter idea, and you're still getting some rental income from that. So, and a lot of people think, oh, if I if I get that loan, can I still get FHA? You can still get an FHA because you just have to have one FHA on your credit at a time. So if you get a conventional loan or, what's they called, like those DSCR loans, where they're just going to want to make sure that the appraised rents cover the mortgage and you have your down payment down, hey, they'll give you the loan. So that's a very, very smart decision if you guys want to start off, and getting investment properties and doing it that way. So that's very good. And I do want to mention one thing before we go, because I'm seeing a lot of this right now when people are qualifying, co-signing for other people's stuff. Man, this is biting a lot of people in the butt. I'm seeing,
Car loans is a big one, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's the biggest thing. Car loans. I'm seeing people co-sign on RVs. Co-sign on just a lot of these opportune, like those unsecured credit or loan things. These things are, again, if you're planning on buying in the next 12 months, because on conventional, on certain loans, you could make the case that, hey, this is not mine, and as long as you have a history of 12 months of them making the payments,
right,
it could take it off. But again, it's a very, very slippery slope. I had a client that got divorced and bought a Tesla. Him and his wife, ex-wife now, bought a Tesla for $40,000. The payments are $919 a month, and However, the payment, it says on here that the wife is responsible for paying for the Tesla since she's getting it. But the problem is she's selling him the money every month.
Oh,
And technically, he's still making the payment.
mm-hmm.
So again, if you guys, even if you are co-signing, please make sure that they're making the payment directly from their account, because if you're still making the payment and they're selling or sending you the money, technically on paper, who's the money coming out of? It's coming out of your account.
Wow,
So
I never thought of that.
yeah, yeah,
Can I say for the record, I bought
Yeah.
a Tesla's worth of stock in Tesla, and it went up, and then I took that money and put that as a deposit on a house,
oh wow,
and as a result, I'm making really good money on that Tesla.
Wow.
So I'm too cheap to drive a Tesla. The way my house is configured, we don't have a good spot for a charger. I live kind of too close to a major boulevard to safely charge my car. I won't get into the details. And I don't drive that much, to be honest. But I'm a little older now and work out of the house and such. So I really wanted one. I mean, I love the technology.
Yeah,
I
I
want to
do too.
participate. So my Tesla is doing really good, by the way. My Tesla now is the down payment on a property in West Hollywood that we're making a fortune on. So
That's awesome.
I'm just saying. But again, the key there is you got to put your money to work for you, and be careful about signing up to stuff you can't afford.
No, exactly. And then be careful co-signing it. And there's a reason why. There's a reason
don't.
why they need you
Whoa,
to
whoa, whoa,
co-sign.
whoa, whoa, whoa! Don't co-sign.
There you go. There you
Don't
go.
co-sign.
No.
Can I help you? Let me give you
Yeah.
good advice about co-signing. Don't. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shannon.
No, yeah, and then that's exactly right. And I mean, hey, if you're co-signing on a house for someone, you know what I mean, and you're living there, that's one thing. If you're co-signing and you're not living there, you could technically, again, after 12 months, the bank could cancel that payment out. But again, like you said, don't co-sign, because I already had to deny 3 people because of they just have they co-sign on loans that are not theirs.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I like to think I could co-sign for my daughter because we don't plan to move anywhere. But what if we wanted to move and it wanted to borrow money? I don't think we'd have to, but you never know how health goes, and medical costs can hit you really hard and such, and taxes. What if, God forbid, we had to move to a retirement community or a medical adult senior place for me or my wife needed to, and maybe we need to save money for medical expenses or care or whatever. Now you can't because you have this mortgage on your statement you can't qualify for. So even if you think you don't need any credit, I think that's just don't do it. Call me up if you want to co-sign the loan. Call me. I'll talk you out of it. How's that?
There you go. There you go. And if you're watching this right now, this is your sign not to.
That's right.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it unless you want the heartache. Okay, let's wrap up. Last word, Shannon. Here we are, mid-June. Summer wrapping up. What's your advice to people looking to buy property, build some income or wealth right now?
My advice is obviously, as always, get ready right now. Know your numbers. The competition is coming out now, guys. So if you didn't hear our advice in the last few videos, competition is rising. Rates are starting to, again, stabilize and dip a little bit. So that means that, again, those 10 people that weren't looking for houses, they're now starting to look. So if you're looking at investing in real estate, I would say, again, hurry up because the train is already moving.
Yeah, you got to run and grab the train because it's moving.
Exactly.
You have to jump on.
But today's,
Exactly.
what's your advice to people now? Mid-June, summer advice?
Yeah, if you are looking to get into a home, let's look at all of the options that are out there for you. What Shannon mentioned today was a great option, FHA loan at 5.5%. That's phenomenal. Also looking at house hacking, which is renting one unit and living in the other. So owner user, which would be a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Those are great opportunities as first-time buyers to get into. And you can even partner with somebody so you can co-own your first investment property. And this way you have the support from somebody that you trust that maybe they will live in the other unit. And so you have that support as well. So reach out if you'd like to know if properties are FHA approved, and we'll go ahead and check on those for you.
Good advice, both you guys. And my kind of word of wisdom is, it's going to be hard. I heard Tom Brady's Hall of Fame speech,
Oh yeah.
Patriots Hall of Fame, and one thing he said is it's hard. Success is hard. Buying a house is hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard work. It's hard to save money. It's easy to spend money. It's easy to put on your credit card. You watch all these commercials. You get extra points for this card. You get extra rewards with that card. It's hard work to say no and cut your costs and save. But over time, you know what you work. If you want what you want in life is accomplished by working hard today. So put the time in, run that budget, stay within your numbers, put money away, get with professionals, leverage your work with experts like Patricia and Shannon, and let's get that done. Guys, thank you so much for a great week. Appreciate you guys.
You.
Sounds good, guys. We'll see you next week, guys.
Thanks so much.